Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Let's talk about an uncivilized mutt. Timothy Hyder, 52, is accused of fatally shooting Natalie Dumais, 51, with a .357 Magnum revolver after she called off their wedding and returned the engagement ring. According to investigators, the incident occurred in Sarasota County during a gathering with friends. Witnesses reported a heated exchange between the couple before the shooting. Following the attack, Timothy allegedly told Natalie's 14-year-old daughter, who was sitting at home watching television at the time, "I blew her brains out." Family, let me tell you something. We have to teach our boys how to accept rejection. Now, dude obviously missed that lesson because he's a grown-ass man in his 50s. Still don't understand how to deal with relationships. Has no idea. It's so many people that are in relationships today who are mentally disturbed. They're already messed up and they're entering into relationships. Imagine, you can't control your own temper. You can't control your own emotions, but then you go and forge a relationship with somebody else and you're trying to control their emotions. You're going to control their actions. It's not going to work. It's going to be a problem. This is why we have to carefully vet the people who we decide that we're going to share our beds with. This dude is an animal. That's right, I said it, an animal, an uncivilized mutt. Fathers, it is imperative that you talk to your boys early on. I talked to my son, I remember talking to my son as early as like 5. I was on it. And I stay on it. I still reiterate to him to this day how to move on in relationships. Because I'm going to tell you something, fam. We don't own each other. Relationships are 50-50. And I mean like you got a 50% chance that it might work, a 50% chance that it won't work. And the more unequally yoked you are, the greater the percentage is. And the chances are that it's not going to work. So when you have a person who got a bad understanding, a person who's quick to argue, quick to become aggressive, that is a red flag right away. As soon as you see it, you got to move around. Now, some of y'all miss it because when you see that person becoming aggressive, having that quick temper, you might see him display that towards somebody else. Perhaps y'all driving down the street and there's a situation where somebody cut him off or something and he just blows his top. And you're thinking, oh, not a big deal because he didn't do it to you. Well, if he can't control his emotions and he don't understand that you can get your head knocked off screaming out of the window and throwing up FU signs and all that type of stuff, then he's probably not going to have too much of a understanding when it comes to dealing with you. And you do something that he don't like, or you do something that she don't like. We have to talk to these boys. We got to get to these boys because oftentimes we'll tell the girls, like, hey, why didn't you just leave them? Why didn't you leave them? See? And then something like this happens because when they try to leave, these dudes who don't have no understanding, thinking that they own something, they won't let them leave. They want to kill everything around them. They want to beat them up. They want to dismember their bodies. They want to do all kinds of crazy things. And the trip part about it is oftentimes these are guys who would otherwise think that they are the prize. They think that they're worthy, right? But then a woman don't want to be with them, and then they just lose and they throw their whole life away, which actually tells you that these guys were insecure. They felt like that the chick was too much for them in the first place, or even the woman who does something like that felt like she wasn't deserving of the guy. And guess what? She would have been right. Natalie was actually right to not want to be with that dude, because whatever happened to her would have happened to her anyway. Eventually, it would have happened. The true part about it is, perhaps their whole situation could have been reconciled. She said she didn't want to marry him. She gave the ring back. She didn't say, I don't want to be with you again or ever again. She just said, I don't want to marry you right now. I don't want to marry you. You know, perhaps he could have persuaded her to change her mind down the line if he was a sane individual. Sound like to me, Natalie had the right idea. Unfortunately, she had the right idea too late, because she should have done her homework on this fool. And had she done her homework on him, she probably would have seen the red flags. You can't just be jumping around with people just because you saw them on the internet and you see the profile say this or that, and you watching a few pictures and videos, or you saw them in the store or at the post office, and all of a sudden you guys are just rolling in the hay. Man. When you start being around somebody, you start thinking you like somebody, man, you got to do some investigating. You got to get around their people, go around the family and listen to what people are saying about that person. They'll tell you straight off the bat what you got. If the person that you with is good people, they're going to be like, man, that's the good one. That's the gem right there. Man, you know, you lucky. If they're a bad person, they're going to say, man, how she end up with somebody like you? Like Lord. Ooh, you better than the last one, that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So the family, they'll rat them out without even trying. You know, take them around that family. Get around the people who they grew up with. Go back to the old neighborhood if you can and ask questions about this person. You know, get around their schoolmates and you'll figure out what type of person you're dealing with. But you got to be willing to open your eyes, open your mind, open your ears, and ask questions. I just can't understand a guy who would throw his whole life away because a woman don't want to be with him. I just got too much pride, man. I got too much dignity, too much self-respect to allow myself to behave so recklessly. I'm not going to allow someone to hurt me and then I turn around and hurt myself in response. A lot of times people do that. Somebody hurt them, now they go hurt themselves by getting drunk and driving crazy and killing somebody on the road, or they start doing drugs, or they pull out a gun, shoot the person, beat somebody up, all this type of stuff, end up in jail. Got to deal with lawyers and having your freedom taken away. All this type of stuff, even killing yourself. Man, I'm not going out like no sucker. R.I.P. Natalie Dumais. No more talk.